Standing at an altitude of 3,726 meters, Gunung Rinjani is the second highest volcano in Indonesia. Just like the Tengger Highlands in East Java, Rinjani exudes an otherworldly charm, but there are a couple of differences between Mount Bromo and Rinjani. In the case of Mount Bromo, the Tengger caldera houses a sand sea. In the case of Rinjani, water has found its way into the crater, forming a lake which we call Danau Segara. Now, another important difference is that for Mount Bromo, you can go to the crater rim on wheels. You can even go to Penanjakan on wheels. And for the Bromo crater itself, you can ride a horse all the way to the stairs beneath. In the case of Rinjani, there's only one way up, on foot.
This is a satellite image of the Rinjani caldera. As you can see, it's not a perfect circle, but shaped roughly like a stingray, with the summit located near the tail. If you look at the crater rim, it appears to be possible to access it from almost any direction. Of course, you end up on different parts of the crater rim, but there are two main approaches to the crater rim. One is from the village of Senaru, which is located almost due north of the caldera. There you can see it near the coast. And the other approach is from the village of Sembalun Lawang, which is located roughly northeast of the caldera. There you can see Sembalun Lawang there, almost to the northeast. So those are the two main routes up the mountain. It's a beautiful morning here in Sembalun Lawang in Lombok. I've just arrived yesterday and I spent the night in this very nice quiet village, which has some awesome scenery, as you can see here. And today I'm going to take a hike to the crater rim of Gunung Rinjani. Alright, we shall start off from Sembalun, which is situated at an altitude of 1,156 meters. From base camp, we're gonna take the hike all the way following this dotted line, about 2.5 hours to the first post, and after that another 45 minutes to the second post, which is situated roughly at an altitude of 1,500 meters. This is a possible campsite, and most probably it's going to be our lunch stop. Then we proceed to the next post, post number 3, which is at an altitude of about 1,800 meters. Another 4-hour climb will bring us to our night stop here at Blawangan, right at the crater rim. And next morning we'll take a very strenuous 3 to 4 hour climb to the summit of Gunung Rinjani at 3,726 meters. So after that we'll be descending back to Blawangan and then down to the crater, the lake, the shore of the lake, and that will be our second night stop. After that we'll be ascending back to the crater rim and then retracing our steps to Sembalun Lawang again. There's an alternative route of descent which goes through this forested area all the way down to Senaru, which is the more popular starting point for this hike. But I will not be going that way because my next destination will be Tete Batu, which is much more convenient. It's much more convenient for me to get there from Sembalun Lawang. So I'll be retracing my steps and returning to Sembalun Lawang. A very simple nasi goreng to start off the day. After this, I'll just wait for my guide. Alright, we're done our registration and we're off to base camp now. Alright, we have arrived at the starting point. You can see the guides and the porters getting the stuff ready. And that's Rinjani. Let's go! It's a flattish, somewhat uninspiring trail at the start. Let's hope it gets more exciting as we go on.
Oh my god! It's gonna fall. Great! This bits are made so awesome, those are these. Oh, sorry.
Jadi bawa aja kita dah tombol.
Another clear view after that rickety bridge and creaky ladder. Let's move on. Alright, about 1 hour and 45 minutes into our trek. This is the first post. Been resting here for a while. Seems like still a long way to go. Most of the path here is quite almost flattish, with a little bit of upslope here and there, and vast open fields here. Gives a pretty good view of Rinjani. And you can see the clouds coming in. The time now is 9:15 in the morning. Alright, about 2.5 hours into our trek, we've arrived at second post. There you can see our guides and porters putting up a shelter, a makeshift shelter for lunch. Time now is almost 10 o'clock. We started at 7:30.
Tapi yang ngoro anu eksis ini rek bro jamak nih dulu kan yang gua nonton di nyambung. Bisa bersandang resep. Jatah gitu.
It's 11:20 and the clouds are moving in. After the second post, the trail gets a lot steeper. Let's see what lies ahead.
Long way to the top.
Alright, it's 10 minutes to 12 and this is post number 3. My guide told me that this is where the action starts. There are going to be 3 minor summits we have to clear before we reach the crater rim. So I can see how the trail goes from here. It's up all the way, pretty steep. This is the 4th summit. There's a rest point here. There are 3 more to go, and this is the trail leading all the way to the crater rim. Alright, we're about 10 minutes to 2. And there are 2 more summits to go. In that direction. Okay, let's go for it.
This is a picture of me taken by my guide. I was climbing up a hill which he called Bukit Penyesalan. Now in Indonesian, Penyesalan means regret. So this is a hill of regret. Why is it called a hill of regret? Well, actually, this place is pretty close to the crater rim. Unfortunately, most climbers will be exhausted by the time they reach here. Now, to turn back would mean going back a long way. And going forward, it's very, very tough for those who are exhausted. So people regret for not turning back earlier. That's why it's called the Hill of Regret.
It's 10 minutes to 3 and we have arrived at the crater rim. Very cloudy now, can't see much. I guess the lake should be somewhere down there, and we just wait for our porter to come up and pitch the tent.
the guys have pitched my tent. I'm now in Lawangan, ready to spend the night here. It's still early in the afternoon, about 4 p.m., and it's still pretty warm outside. In fact, it feels a bit hot in a tent. I would say that this is not an easy climb, especially after pose 3. The first part is of course pretty straightforward, and most of it was flattish anyway, but after pose 3 it gets really brutal, so get yourself prepared. And there's also a possibility of breaking up your trek. You can spend the night at pose 3 before you proceed to the crater. So now I'm at the crater rim. I don't know how cold the night is going to be, but I expect it to be quite cold. And next morning we'll be heading up to the summit of Gunung Rinjani, the second highest volcano, also the third highest mountain in Indonesia. The whole place is enshrouded in clouds now, so there's nothing much to see. Hopefully next morning everything will clear up and I'll give you a better picture of what's going on here. Alright, it's 2:30 in the morning and we're all set, ready to go, but looks like it's gonna be not too much fun. I figure there are probably over 200 people making an attempt on the summit this morning. Alright, the sun has just risen and the lake now lies in the shadow. As you can see, this part of the summit trail is pretty narrow. On the right is a steep drop, almost like a cliff, down to the lake below. On the left side is a very avalanche prone slope. You don't want to get near there. So the trail itself is full of loose rocks, sand and volcanic ash. So climbing up this path would involve a lot of scrambling, a lot of slipping and sliding. So all this really saps your energy.
was a really punishing climb with lots of scrambling over loose rocks. Really tough. But this is the reward. I think it's not too bad. This is a summit of Gunung Rinjani. You can see the lake below. And you can more or less guess how all this came about. This used to be a much bigger volcano which blew its top, and residual volcanic activity is confined to that little volcano near the middle. And over time, water has collected inside the crater, and this outer crater is what we call the caldera. I can see 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th distinct summit on the rim of this caldera. And of course, I'm now standing on the highest summit of all. It's the summit of Gunung Rinjani. Tough climb, but hugely rewarding.
I decided to abort the descent to the lake because of a couple of reasons. First of all, I took a bit too much time on the summit push, and secondly, I have totally underestimated the amount of time I would need to trek from the shore of the lake back to Sembalun Lawang on the last day. I've already booked my transport to Teteh Batu, and if I had descended to the lake, it would take me at least about 12 hours to get back to Sembalun Lawang. Earlier on, I was thinking that it would only I would be able to arrive in Sembalun at about 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, but my guide estimated that I would arrive there at about 8 p.m. So if I had descended to the lake, I would arrive at Sembalun Lawang late, and also my schedule with respect to Teteh Batu would have gone haywire. So if you plan to descend to the lake, I would advise you to spend another night at Sembalun Lawang. Don't plan anything else on that day. I wouldn't count this as a completely successful trip, but it was still very rewarding for me. I've seen some of the most spectacular scenery, the most stunning scenery in Indonesia, if not the world. I did not pre-book a trip before I arrived in Lombok, so I actually only started making plans when I arrived. This actually makes it considerably cheaper. However, I brought a lot of my stuff, and the agency assured me that all of it is provided and I could leave them at the guest house. Unfortunately, when I look back, I feel that I could have been more comfortable if I brought my own stuff. I also wish to have to be more involved in the planning and equipping for the trip. So, will I be back? I think so. But don't ask me to go to the summit again.